Hello, everyone. How's it going? That's your guy's cue to jump in.
Oh. It's going.
Great way to start this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What about you? What about you, Daniel? How are you doing?
Also good.
Good, good. Glad to hear it. So, we have one more game to talk about, and that is the sequel / spin-off game, which, to be honest, I was not expecting. When this was announced, I was like, what? But here we are, Spider-Man Miles Morales. When this game was in...
But
Patrick, I don't know about you, Dan. I'll get to you in a second. Patrick, what was your reaction when this game was announced?
Was it Count Dooku who said this? It's a surprise, but a welcome one. I was.
Oh, that was
I was-
Palpatine, but yeah.
yeah,
That was Palpatine?
That
Okay.
wasn't Dooku.
See, I'm not a Star Wars guy, so I don't care. I just know Star Wars through the memes of the prequel trilogy.
Oh, fair enough.
But I was wondering how they were going to handle Miles because they had kind of hinted at Venom being the villain, like even after the game came out, they were like hinting that we were putting him in the plot. So I was thinking, how are they going to handle the Venom story and Miles' kind of like origin story all in one game? So when they announced he was getting his own game, I was like, oh, that's a good way of fixing the problem.
Yeah.
Having to stuff the first game's plot with too much stuff. But I thought it was a good idea, a nice holdover that's not a waste of time like Arkham Origins was.
I was about to say Arkham Origins too. Dan, how about you? Because I don't know if you were following gaming at the time. How did you first find out about
I was not following gaming like at all. I mean, really, the only thing I was following was Infinite, just because it was Halo and I wanted to know what was going on with it. But when Miles was announced, or when I found out about it, I was just like, "Oh, cool."
Wasn't the first bit of gameplay you ever saw about this game the final boss?
Yes, actually.
How did you manage that?
He came to my house when I was fighting the final boss.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, because I remember this was announced around the time the PS5 was announced.
Mhm.
And everyone speculated this was going to be a PS5 only game. Luckily, for those of you who weren't able to get a PS5 at launch, they did do a PS4 version.
Yeah, that's the one I played.
I actually never played the PS4 version because I got this game for Christmas 2020, and I got my PS5 rather 2 months later. So I was able to play it relatively soon.
The PS4 version runs about the same as the PS4 version of the first game, so it still runs fine, but it doesn't have like the extra polish and bonus.
So
stuff
it's
in the PS5
perfectly playable, but it's not the ideal way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds about right.
But to kick things off, this game takes place around Christmas time. It might actually be like on Christmas.
Yeah.
Or around that time.
I think it's just around Christmas time.
And you start the game off with Miles on a subway. And he's just, kind of introducing himself. This game has a much smaller map than the original. It's pretty much condensed to just Harlem. Because something I'll say right off the bat, the story in this game, the stakes are nowhere near as high as the previous one. It's a more grounded story because it's a more personal Miles story.
Mm-hmm.
This is a Spider-Man getting to know himself rather than Peter Parker, who's been doing this for about 8 years, I guess 9 years at this point. So you see that Miles is still he's still learning. He doesn't have his craft down quite as well as Peter does. Because like Rhino is like released like right at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
And Peter's not doing too hot. So Miles saves him and unlocks his Venom powers. Not that Venom. If you know, you know. Why are his powers called Venom?
I don't remember
As
the
it
in comic.
stings, I guess.
Honestly, though, I don't remember the in comic reason for why he called him that.
All right. Well, he defeats Rhino, and the head of Roxxon, Simon Krieger, is like, "Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate you."
This is the thing that I was always baffled about, because Roxxon is mostly an Iron Man enemy, like the company.
Yeah. So why are they in a Spider-Man?
I don't know, but
Maybe we'll get an Iron Man game that ties into this someday.
well, remember
That'd
EA
be cool.
is working on a solo single-player Iron Man game.
Yes, the developers of Dead Space are doing it. So
They're doing it.
yeah, the guys of the Dead Space remake are doing the
Okay,
Iron Man.
this Iron Man game is going to be good then.
Yeah, the Dead Space remake was great. So Peter gives Miles a gift and makes up some sort of Spider-Man oath, like on the fly, because Peter's a dick like that. And it's like, hey, by the way, I'm going on vacation. You got this, bro. Deuces. And Miles is like, fuck. So he calls his best friend Genki, or one of his best friends, Genki. And it's like, yo, meet me in Central Park. I got something to show you. So I guess in between games, he told Genki that he was Spider-Man. So Genki's like his guy in the chair. If you get the reference, you get the reference.
Funny you say that, because the Ned in the MCU.
But isn't Ned based on Genki?
Yeah, Ned is based off Genki.
Yeah.
So this is where he gets a new suit, which looks like Spider-Man's suit but pajamas. And
it's a weird looking suit.
Honestly, as soon as I could change it, I did.
I got the pre-order stuff, so I went right to the
Spider-Verse suit.
No, the track suit, the white one.
Oh, I actually did the Spider-Verse suit for a while. Actually, what about you, Dan? Did you just have to stick to the pajamas?
So with this game and the last game, I just stuck with the suits that were like basically canon. So I stuck with the so at the last game I stuck with the classic suit and advanced suit the entirety of the story. Then after that I just switched to whatever suit I wanted.
Fair enough. That's what I do too.
And same with Miles, I just stuck with the hoodie trainee suit and the pajama suit, and then his main suit, like the entirety of the game. Like I used whatever suit that he started off with, that he has in the story, and then after I finished the story, I just switched to whatever I wanted. That being the Spider-Verse suit, because the Spider-Verse suit is awesome.
Yeah, Spider-Verse suit was pretty cool.
It's not my favorite costume in the game, but it's up there.
No, I like the filter, but it fucks with my eyes.
Well, you can turn that off.
I know, but it still fucks with my eyes. But so Genki creates an app for Miles' suit. I think it's called the Friendly Neighborhood app.
Mm-hmm.
And his first client is Aaron Davis, who's his uncle. And he helps him out, and Aaron Davis immediately figures out that Spider-Man is Miles. Like, immediately. Okay. I guess Miles just sucks at keeping his identity secret, because Aaron figured it out, like, without trying.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so did Aunt May, technically.
Yeah, but she never said anything. She just kept it to herself. Whereas Aaron was just like, hey, is that your name? Mm-hmm. But Aaron's like, hey, look, man, if you need anything, just give me a call. We'll get to him later. If you know anything about Spider-Man, you know who Aaron Davis is. So Miles starts investigating Roxxon because there's something fishy going on about it. And when he gets there, he gets jumped by this group called the Underground, who are a bunch of pricks. But here's the thing. The only two enemy factions in this game really are Roxxon and the Underground. And it gets a little repetitive, I'm not going to lie. But
I can't say it was a lot of fun.
and around this time too, I think it's Christmas. Rio Morales, Miles' mom, is throwing a Christmas party, and I think she's running for what's she running for?
It was like
City council or something like that.
Yeah, to represent Harlem.
Yeah. And she invites Finn Mason over, who is Miles' friend who he hasn't seen in a while. They reconnect. And it's all very cheery, happy, nicey. Okay. So, during Rio's City Hall event, or, yeah, you know what I mean. It's Jump by the Underground, where you see their leader, the Tinkerer. And Tinkerer's like, well, I forgot what the Tinkerer said. But you find out very quickly, the game doesn't even try to hide that the Tinkerer is Finn. Because I guess the suit doesn't match. Her technology doesn't mesh with the Venom powers, so. During this, the bridge is collapsing, and Miles does save everybody. It's a pretty cool sequence. But Roxxon is like, you're gonna die today.
Yeah, they're a bunch of assholes.
But he turns invisible because he just has those powers. Something I noticed about the game, and Patrick, tell me this is accurate to the comics. He has those extra abilities, but his physical attacks don't seem to do as much damage as Peter's did.
Nah, he's a lot weaker than Peter.
Yeah, physically he seems a lot weaker than Peter did.
Like much.
Yeah.
I
do think that it does take longer for him to beat people, but I think to make up for it, the Venom powers are such a big. Well, the Venom powers have like a huge damage multiplier on them, so
they do. But I think in terms of raw comboing, Peter does more damage.
Yeah, he does.
Like way more damage.
But Patrick's right. He's got the Venom power, so to balance him out, you got to make Miles a little weaker. So Miles gets a new suit because it's been busted up, and you get the standard Miles Morales suit. And from here, Miles' whole thing is he's trying to figure out what's going on with Finn. That's his primary focus, and that's the majority of the plot. Is, yo, Finn, why are you doing this? So he finds out that Finn's brother, Rick, I think his name was. Yeah, Rick. Had was working on New Form, which is a type of energy that Roxxon was creating, which is very unstable. And he started to get a bone disease? A bone degenerative disease?
Yeah.
And he was trying to shut down New Form. So Finn's like the phone that Finn had with the video on it was in a Roxxon building. So he went there to go get it. He meets up with the Prowler. Prowler's his uncle, who's just trying to protect him. But he's like, yo, uncle, you gotta help me out here. The uncle agrees to help him, and he gets the phone, and he finds out that Rick died trying to shut New Form down. You actually see his body disintegrate. It's actually kind of disturbing.
It's a little tough.
So, Miles reaches out to Finn, and is like, hey, I know... without revealing he's Spider-Man. He's like, Finn, I saw what happened to Rick. I was looking for you. I understand what you're doing. Let me join you. And she's like, bet.
Yeah.
And with no hesitation. But not too long after that, when he breaks in and finds out they're like creating weapons and using Kingpin's armory and stuff, they confront each other. And Finn says to him, I think they're on top of a building. Finn's like, give me one reason not to kill you. And he pulls up his mask because my mom would be really upset. So he reveals himself to her. She's like, oh, no. No.
Yeah, she freaks out and just dips.
So Miles talks to Aaron, who tries to comfort him. Miles goes away, and he's like, all right, they'll be here. Leave the kid alone. So Finn and Miles meet at, what was it, Trinity Church? I think what it was called.
Mm-hmm.
And they both get captured by a souped-up rhino. And the Prowler's pissed. Because he's been working for Roxxon secretly. And he told Simon Krieger, I told you to leave Spider-Man alone. So they break out, and they defeat the Rhino. And the Rhino's talking shit to Finn. And Finn's about to kill him, and Miles is like, yo, no. Finn beats the shit out of him. Like, beats him to near death. So Genki brings him home, and Rio figures out Miles is the new Spider-Man. And he tells her what's going on. And he's like, I gotta stop her, right? So he goes to try and stop her, but he gets jumped by the Prowler. And the Prowler's like, Miles, I don't want to lose you like I lost my father. He's like, but Miles is like, I gotta save everybody. I can't let Finn do this. The reactor is unstable and she's gonna kill everybody. Miles defeats the Prowler and's like, look, you gotta stop trying to tell me what to do. I'm my own man. And he leaves. So he goes and confronts Finn. After there's a big battle between Roxxon and the Underground, and a big battle for Harlem. Spider-Man's able to stop it, and he goes after Finn, and he finally does defeat her, and makes her see, yo, this is unstable. You're gonna kill everybody. She finally realizes what she's doing is wrong. But she's taken a lot of damage, and she can't really do anything. So Miles goes to the reactor and absorbs all the energy. He's basically a walking time bomb. And if he blows that up, everyone's done for. So she takes the last bit of her technology, flies into the sky, and is like, it's okay. I'll be okay. Blows up. Miles blows up. Kills Finn. But he just crashes. Boom. That was hard. I'm gonna be honest. That scene was hard to watch. What's with these Spider-Man games having tough endings?
It wouldn't be a Spider-Man game without a tough. Yeah, it wouldn't be a Spider-Man game without some emotional ending to it.
So all of Harlem sees who he is, but like in Spider-Man 2, they keep it to themselves because people come up, hey, who was that?
It wasn't all of Harlem. It was just like a couple people.
It was a lot of people, dude.
It's like I don't think it was a lot. I think it was like maybe less than a dozen.
That's a lot of people, though. That's a lot of people who Spider-Man is, because if someone decides to have a big mouth, but they're like, that's our Spider-Man. So, Peter comes back, and they go on their Spider-Man journeys. There you go. There's the story. Not as involved as the first game. Like I said earlier, it's a much smaller scale.
Yeah, it's not really a long game either.
But they also sold at a reduced price, luckily.
Yeah, like you said, it was meant to be a holdover game.
Well, they were working on the actual sequel, which
a holdover game to give Miles his own introductory story and to play test Miles so they can fine tune both of them for the sequel.
And to go back to a point Patrick made, I find this to be a much better holdover game than Batman Arkham Origins.
Yeah.
Because
Arkham Origins is really that bad.
It's Arkham City, but worse.
It's Arkham City, but this comment made it crash again.
Yes. See, this doesn't...
It has a real bad habit of freezing. The last time I played through Arkham Origins, I had the game either freeze or soft lock on me about 7 times. It was ridiculous.
But this does not feel like a copy-paste of the last game. Like, the swing animations are different. The fighting animations are different. The web shooting animations are different.
Well, shoot, even Miles's move set and stuff. Like, he only has 4 gadgets, but his venom powers more than make up for it. He doesn't play anything like Peter does.
No, he doesn't, and that's good. He shouldn't just be a copy paste of Peter. I'm glad he's his own person.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? It works really well. I will say this game's a lot easier, though. A lot easier. I think I died once, and that was all against the final boss.
Because the final boss is actually kind of tough.
But everything else, I was just like, oh, this is a cakewalk. But that being said, it's still a really fun game to play. I had a blast playing this game, a lot more than I thought I was going to.
I really like the story. I thought it had like a very emotional core to it, like a different kind of core that the previous Spider-Man game didn't have. So I thought that was neat. I like how alive Harlem felt, how it was just full of life and all that.
Yeah, they redid Harlem on the map. Because if you've ever been to Harlem on the original game, it was pretty standard. But they completely redid Harlem to make it feel more like a real place. And it did help with this game's story a lot.
Which helps from the, which is, I was saying this to Dan, I think 2 weeks ago. That's the benefit of this being a smaller game, is that they can focus more on those little details than they could in, say, the first one, which was a much bigger game.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this was also made with the PS5 version in mind, rather than the PS4 version.
Yeah.
But this game runs super smoothly. It plays super smooth. The stealth sections are actually borderline optional.
Yeah, because I don't think we brought this up in the last game, but combat sections in the first game, once you beat or took out a certain amount of enemies, they would just immediately notice you. And it was kind of stupid because it kind of made stealth pointless because you could just go in and just beat people up faster, but you can actually still take down entire hordes now.
But even then, if you want to go in and just attack people, Miles will leave a comment. All right, guess I'm going in loud. Here we go.
Yeah.
Like, he will just comment on it. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
There aren't a lot of boss fights in this one. I can only think of Rhino and Finn.
No, the Prowler fight.
Oh, yeah.
Which is probably the best boss in the game.
Oh, and the virtual vulture you fight in one of the side missions.
I don't think... Yeah, I guess that's a boss fight.
So, I mean, yeah. There aren't a lot. But the ones that are here are pretty cool. But I mentioned this earlier. The combat's fun, but it does get a little repetitive, fighting the same robot-looking dudes over and over and over again.
Mm.
Maybe that's just me.
I mean, for a game that's shorter than the first game like this, you don't need more than 2 villain factions.
Yeah, it's fair, because the first game's like, what, 20-something hours?
Well, there are still the occasional like kingpin goons that you fight, but they're not like in bases and stuff like they were in the first game.
No, they're not. And the side quests are not as involved in this one.
No, but I do like the reward you get for beating all of them.
Yeah, it's true.
The black and gold Miles costume.
It looks really cool.
That's my favorite alt in the game. It's so good looking.
Mine is the one with the cat.
Oh, the Bodega cat suit? Yeah.
I love that one so much.
That's one thing I like too. There's actually some costumes in this game that have unique instant takedown animations.
Yes, well, I love the one with the kitty cat so much.
Yeah, the cat just jumps out of his backpack and like slaps the guy in the face.
The fact that the cat sits in your backpack the whole time, I just don't buy. But
yeah, but the programmable matter suit has instant takedowns where he like spawns giant spider legs and stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm hoping they do more with that in the second one, especially with the symbiote. But we'll see. Now,
one of the things that, like, going back to the story a little bit, because I'm so used to the original Tinkerer that seeing them take him from like an 80-year-old engineer to a 20-something-year-old black girl was very weird to me because they have the same name.
Yeah, because what's his name? Phineas Mason in the
Yeah,
comics?
Phineas. Yeah. And we saw him in Web of Shadows already. He was
Yeah,
in
we did.
that game, so seeing him. But this is a much better Tinker because the original comic Tinker is a bit of a loser.
Yeah.
So
He's in Homecoming, I think, isn't he?
yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Him and Shocker were part of Vulture's crew.
That's
in
what
that
I
movie.
thought.
Yeah, but they never name dropped him as Tinker. But I mean, who else could that have been?
Charles. Get his name? Oh.
Charles Dickens.
Yeah, Charles Dickens. Oh, that's where he is now.
That's right. But one thing about this game is there aren't really, aside from Rhino, there aren't really any notable Spider-Man villains here.
Well, Prowler is sort of, but
Kinda.
This isn't like the typical Prowler. This is Miles' Prowler, not 616 Prowler.
Yeah. Again, this isn't Peter Parker's story. So it'd be weird if Miles was fighting all of his villains. Does Miles have his own set of villains?
Top of my head.
There,
like,
he does, but I don't know any of them off the top of my head. And they've kind of turned Prowler into one, even though they kind of had to erase the original Prowler to make it work. Because the original Prowler is Hobie Brown.
Yeah, it wasn't Aaron Davis originally.
If you know who Spider-Punk is in 616, that's Prowler.
That's awesome.
So,
Um,
and he was just like a petty like jewel thief and stuff. There wasn't anything more to him than that.
yeah, now he's this big deal.
Yeah,
All right.
the ultimate version of Prowler that's tied to Miles is a much more interesting character.
Well, that's good. But I really liked this game. I'm glad this was the first game I played on PlayStation 5. And I couldn't put it down.
Yeah,
I was stuck in.
it's a damn good game.
Yeah. They did a really good job with. I love this Insomniac's interpretation of Miles too.
Oh, I've never been the biggest Miles Morales fan, I'll be honest, but this series has made me a Miles Morales fan.
Can I just say this? It's gonna be a little bit controversial, but his costume reveal, like musical introduction, I think was better in this game than it was in Spider-Verse.
Oh, I won't fight you on that. I
Good.
honestly think the games have done these characters more justice than the movies. Fight me.
Well, and the comics.
That's sad. Now,
Yeah,
Dan, you're more of a Spider-Verse fan than I am. How would you compare this to the Spider-Verse version?
I would say you do get a lot more with Miles's own personal story than say Spider-Verse, because Spider-Verse, he's mostly dealing with all these other spider people, and like in both Spider-Verse movies, he's mostly dealing with multiverse issues. But in the game, he's dealing with purely personal issues, so you really get to know Miles more as a person, and see his journey as Spider-Man, like in the game. But actually, I guess you really do get a good sense of his story and personal stakes in the Spider-Verse movies too. But it's just a different take, where the game is much more grounded than the movies, because movies are like all dealing with the multiverse, but in the game he's dealing with his friend in his own city, in his own town. So I really like both, but I'm just more attached to the Spider-Verse movie. So yeah.
Well then.
I mean, that's always kind of been like one of my little personal nitpicks with the Spider-Verse movies, is that they tried to tell Miles's origin story through this comic event, their interpretation of this comic event that Miles honestly wasn't even a part of.
Was he not?
No. In the original Spider-Verse comic story, Miles was never a part of the main Spider-Verse storyline. He had his own little Spider-Verse adventure where he was kind of dimension hopping with the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon Peter Parker, and he was jumping to like the different cartoon universes. Like he dealt with the 60s cartoon Spider-Man at one point.
What the fuck?
Yeah, no, it was weird. It was like a side, kind of like comedic side story.
But the main character of the Spider-Verse story was still Peter Parker.
It was Peter, Gwen, 2099 Noir, Spider-Ham, an alternate universe version of Superior Spider-Man where Ock stayed as Spider-Man, and then Ben Reilly. That was the main cast.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but I'm just a bigger fan of when Spider-Man is more grounded. So I think that this interpretation is a little bit better to me. But
I gotta agree.
There's no wrong answer though, because the Spider-Verse movies are just too well written for me to dog on them too much.
I haven't watched the second one yet, so
I haven't
you should.
either.
It's really good.
I'm waiting until the Blu-ray releases.
But tangent over, I thought this was a fantastic game. And Insomniac has been knocking it out of the park with these Spider-Man games. So I'm hoping they strike gold here soon. Fingers crossed.
They will. I can't see them fumbling this.
I think this one's going to be dark. And I'm ready for it.
Me too.
So, while we're
interpretation of Venom we're ever gonna have, and I'm
so speaking of that, while we're still here, what are we looking forward to in Spider-Man 2?
Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, everything.
There's one thing I am hoping for is better boss fights, for sure.
I thought the boss fights in these two games have been pretty good.
I mean, they haven't been terrible.
I mean,
but
they're better than how the Arkham series handled them.
You mean where they didn't?
Well, I mean, I'll cut City some slack.
The fact that Arkham Knight doesn't have any boss fights, really?
What, you don't like Batman Arkham Tank Wars?
No, I can't say that. The fact that your biggest battle with the Arkham Knight is in a sewer tunnel is just...
And it's not even a boss fight. It's like a like stealth challenges.
It's so stupid.
Thank you. Rocksteady, I love your Arkham trilogy, but you guys did not know how to do boss fights outside of the Mr. Freeze fight from City. That was the only good boss fight in the series.
Like, the Venom battle better be intense.
Yeah.
And if it isn't, I'm going on X and I'm adding Insomniac.
Why did you call it X? It's nobody calls it that.
Why did they rename it? I don't. Anyway, I'm curious though the ratio between Peter and Miles. I'm curious how that's going to be.
I think it'll be split pretty evenly.
I think that's what they were saying. I wonder if the stealth sections with MJ will still be in here.
They actually haven't confirmed or denied that those are going to be back or not.
I think we need at least one where she's running from Venom.
I'm curious as to what the role of Prowler and Black Cat is going to be.
They haven't shown anything about them in this.
No. They did kind of loosely confirm that those two are going to be in the story. I'm just curious as to what their role is going to be. I'm thinking Prowler is going to be a bit of an ally for them because of how he kind of was redeemed at the end of Miles' game.
Yeah, he was. Because he came and helped.
But Black Cat, you kind of don't know what to expect out of her until...
Yeah, she just kind of was like, bye.
Yeah. So...
I guess we'll see. I will be getting the Spider-Man Special Edition PS5, so I'm going to do an unboxing of that for you guys when I get it. That'll be my first unboxing video, actually.
I mean, that would be one thing to unbox.
Oh, yeah. And then, of course, we will review the game when we all beat it.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So, look forward to that. Are there any other Spider-Man games we haven't covered?
I mean, we've talked about some of like the handheld variations of games and like other platform versions of games that we've covered, but no, unless we want to go back to like the Super Nintendo era and stuff, and none of those games are really that great outside of the arcade beat 'em ups like Maximum Carnage and Separation Anxiety.
And what can you say about those other than it's a beat 'em up with Spider-Man and Venom?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're console-made arcade beat 'em ups. I mean, that's all you can really say about them. They're both good games, though, but you really can't.
And I mean, there's also like the MVC games and stuff where you could be like, oh yeah, Spider-Man's in those.
Spider-Man's in them.
Yeah, he's part of the roster. So's Venom.
Yeah.
But that's it. Unless we got anything else we want to say.
That's about it.
No.
All right, well, I want to thank you guys so much for going through the Spider-Man retrospective with me and Patrick, because Dan was only here for the last two. And I hope you guys stick around for Spider-Man 2, and we'll see you then. Take care.
Peace.